1, 2. Oh.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Sofia.
And I'm Fran.
And this is our Supreme Court case.
Our crash course video.
Okay.
Crash course.
Today we will be talking about corporate involvement in politics.
Many people have mixed feelings about whether or not corporations and companies should be involved in politics, whether that's donating money or advertising about certain politicians.
From 1907 to 1970, Congress has passed many laws limiting campaign spending.
Many of these limitations have been... We should have like little flashcards where we say corporate, union. Many of these limitations have been on corporate, union, and federal employee spending. Many people didn't care for these limitations, therefore didn't respect them.
What should I say?
That's why in
1971, the Federal Elections Campaign Act was passed.
The Federal Elections Campaign Act was a legislation adopted in 1971 to regulate the raising and spending of money in U.S. federal elections. It imposed restrictions on the amounts of monetary or other contributions that could lawfully be made to federal candidates and parties, and it mandated disclosure of contributions and expenditures in campaigns for federal office.
This led to the creation of Federal Elections Commission, an independent agency created in 1975 by the U.S. Congress to regulate election campaign finance in the U.S. The mission of the FEC is to administer and enforce the Federal Election Campaign Act, FECA, that governs the financing of federal elections. A case where the court upheld and struck down portions of the Federal Elections Campaign Act was in the 1976 case
Buckley versus Vallejo.
In which...
Or we can just film you by yourself, just...
So like change it up a little bit. So
after Watergate, Congress wanted to get rid of corruption in political campaigns by further restricting financial contributions to candidates.
The court held that restrictions on individual contributions to political campaigns and candidates didn't violate the First Amendment, but the restriction of independent expenditures did.
This all led to the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act, also known as the McCain-Feingold Act, a U.S. federal law that amended the Federal Election Campaign Act of 1974, which regulates the financing of political campaigns.
The Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act restricted corporations and labor organizations from financing issue-based advertising on behalf of candidates, also known as electioneering communications.
In the 2008 presidential election, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton ran against each other for the Democratic nominee. Citizens United is a corporation that grants other corporations, nonprofits, and unions unlimited political spending power.
Citizens United released a very controversial film about Hillary Clinton spending over $1 million on the movie.
Citizens United challenged the McCain-Feingold Act, arguing that it violated the free speech Citizens United challenged the McCain-Feingold Act, arguing that it violated the free speech portion of the First Amendment.
In 2010, this case was brought to the Supreme Court and is best known as Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission.
Offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit. These are their stories.
Basically, like what you guys did about Hillary Clinton, that's kind of mean.
Probably, but I'm making a movie on who I want, and I wanted Obama.
Okay, but you didn't have to go off on Hillary like that.
Well, I had to do what I needed to do.
Yeah, I don't even know if all that stuff was true. Isn't, like, I don't know, isn't there like a rule that limits like what you can do with your money on campaign spending? Like, why didn't you guys follow that?
No, because it violates First Amendment, and I'm spending my money on who I want and what I want.
Okay, but the First Amendment is for the people, not for corporations.
Actually, she's right. It violates the First Amendment.
Okay.
Time for the
Mystery document. Where is it?
I don't know. Where did you put it?
I don't know.
Wait.
Wait. Mystery document. The First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In current events, the First Amendment remains the most referred to and debated amendment.
With movements like the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement, freedom of speech is very crucial. When it comes to campaigning for elections, freedom of press is very critical. It was ruled that the McCain-Feingold Act did violate freedom of speech.
From this point on, corporations and labor organizations could spend money on political tools, but just couldn't donate directly to the candidate. This was known as soft money.
Can I use soft money for campaign spending?
Yes!
What is campaign spending?
Campaign spending is when you spend money on a certain candidate's campaign.
This money can be used for
Newspapers,
news broadcasting, and social media. In conclusion, the decision of Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission is important because it affects every political election, campaign, and it affects how corporations spend their money.
This has changed the way politicians campaign and how individuals can participate in these campaigns. I said that so wrong.
That's the end of the video. Make sure to like, subscribe,
Comment down below
comment your favorite Supreme Court case down below, and
and how it
catch you next
affects-
time.
Oh.
This is scary. Okay, did you tell it?
Yes.
Oh no.
Okay, chill. Just chill.
You need to send that video to me.
Oh my god, what if your dad's coming?
He's definitely not. We need to make it look like we didn't just burn something.